Hello, this is Mr. Rasmussen with Algebra 1, Lesson 85, Stem and Leaf Plots. This is a paper way to be able to organize a bunch of numbers, as you see here, and simply into numerical order so that then we can answer some questions about it, such as range, median, mode, or mean. So it has two parts here. First, you're going to have a stem, and then off of the stem you have the leaf parts. This here is actually the problem from lesson 89, question number 7-8 in the homework, and you can find this on page 373. I chose to go with that one as an example just because it looked a little simpler than some of the examples that they put in the particular lesson. And you can look at the ones in the lesson and then also look at this one to learn how to do this. Now, the leaf part of these numbers is always just the ones place. So to start, we're going to look at after the ones place and find the highest number and the lowest number, and then write that down as our stem. So as I look through these, ignoring the ones place, I got a 10, an 11, a 9. 9 is lowest so far. 9, 8. 8 is lower. So 9, 10, 12, 12, 13, 12, 12, 10, 10, 13. So it looks like my lowest number is 8. So ignoring the ones place. And then my highest one looks like 13. So I'm going to write those down here in order. I'm going to write 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, then I'm going to go through and fill out, just going straight down the list here, fill out the ones place. So here I got a 10 and then a 0, so I put a 0 next to the 10 spot. Here I got an 11 and then a 0, so I put a 0. So the leaf are all just the ones places in the distinct rows for the rest of the numbers. 9, so I'm in the 9 spot here, and then I'll write a 5. Next number is 9 and a 0, so I'm still in the 9s row for a 0. 85, put a 5. 97, here's my 9, there's a 7. 10, and then I put the 5. 12, come down to the 12 row, and then put my 5 in. Another 12, comma 8. 13, I put in a 5. 12, I put in a 5. 12, I put in a 9. 10, I put in an 8. And then 10, I put in a 9. And then 13 down here, I put in a 7. And so that's how we would arrange our stem and leaf. And you ask, well, why are we doing that? Well, now we come back with a second step and put these numbers into numerical order. So for example, this one only has 1, so putting that in order, we simply have a 5 here. 85, right? Here, putting these in order, we're going to rewrite it as 0, 5, 7. Okay? Putting these in order, oh, they're already in order, 0, 5, 8, 9. Don't have to do anything with that. This one's only 1. This one here, I'm going to rewrite it as 5, 5, 8, 9 to put it into numerical order. And then this one's already there. Now, all this really does for you is take these 15, if you count these, there's 15 numbers, and put them into numerical order. So using this, now I can actually write them out. I have 85, and then I have 90, okay? 95, right? Just walking down the list here. 97, right? And then I come down to this row, and I get, oh, I did not write those. I'll put a comma in there. Back up, take that out. That's going to mess me up. 97, comma. Come to this row, I get 100. See, the 10 and the 0. Then I get 105, 108, 109, 110. Then I come to my 12s and I got 125, 125 again, 128, 129, and then I get 135 and 137. Okay, so all that does for us, the stem and leaf, is give us a method to take lots of numbers and put them into numerical order. Now you could just use trial and error and just start and just take through and just list them in numerical order by just trial and error, but this is a distinct method to go a little more straightforward to it. All right, now that we have our numbers simply arranged in the smallest to the largest, we can answer some questions about them. What is the range? Well, the range is between the highest and the lowest. So here's our highest, 137, and my lowest is 85. And so I do 137 minus 85, and my range is 52. Now in this problem, I'll go back and read it. It says Luke tried the golf club that his wife Claire gave him and hit golf balls the following distances. So they actually put these as yards. So his shortest distance shot was 85 yards and the longest was 137 yards. So the range between them is 52 yards. I'll put that in there as part of the problem. All right, the median means middle. So I'd already count these and there's 15 of them. So the middle of 15 would be 8, 7 on one side, 7 on the other, and 1 right in the middle. So I got to count through these till I get to my 8th number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My median is 109 yards. Mode means most. Well, it's pretty easy to see which one shows up more than once. Well, that's only one. That's our 125 in here. So my mode or most is 125 yards. And then mean is my average. My average is where I would add all the numbers up and then divide by the total. This here, go ahead and grab your calculator and add 85 plus 90 plus 95. For this one, obviously, you don't need the stem and leaf plot. You could just add all the numbers up, and when you do, you should get 1,678, and then you divide that by the total inputs or total number, which is 15 different numbers, and we get an average of 111.87 yards. Okay, so that is how we do a stem and leaf. And to fill out these, I'm going to go back to question 7 now. That was actually question 8 in the lesson A. Question 7 instructs me to write a histogram, which is a frequency distribution chart. It just shows how many times something showed up. So for this, it's a bar graph, as you can see there in the book. And so for my bar graph, I'm going to start with my smaller amount, and I'm going to go by tens. So I have a category here of starts with 80, and then I'm going to go to 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, and then 140, I think, is as high as I need to go because that's in there. So I went by tens on the bottom, and then on the side here, we're just going to count up by ones as high as I need to go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Once again, this is just frequency. It shows how many numbers are in a certain designation. So my designation is between 80 and 90. I ask myself, how many numbers show up between 80 and 90? Well, that's only one. So I'm going to draw a line that goes, a bar graph that just goes up to the 1. Between 90 and 100, I look back to my stem and leaf plot, and there's 3 numbers inside of that grouping. So I'm going to come up to the 3 line on my bar graph and just show that there's 3 in that category. Between 100 and between 100 and 110 right here is actually 4 numbers, so a little higher. There we go. Between 110 and 120 is only 1. My 110. Between 120 and 130, once again I have 4, so back up this high like that. And then in my last group here, 130, 140, I have 2. So there. This is just simply a bar graph that's showing how many numbers are in each category, and it's called a histogram or a frequency diagram, frequency distribution. Okay, so now that I have this set up, I am set up to answer question B in lesson 89, homework number 8, and it says determine the percentages of distances where less than 99 yards. Well, 99 yards is right here, so less than that goes this way. So I've got 3, shows up 3 numbers here and 1 number here. So if I add those together, I get 4 that show up in that category. It wants me to give a percentage, and so I'm going to take 4 out of the total in numbers, amount of numbers, which once again, if we add them all up, is 15. So 4 divided by 15, do it on the calculator, and you get 26.67% there as the answer for number of shots percentage that are 99 yards or less. Okay, so hopefully that showed you pretty clearly how to set up your stem and leaf to be able to then get your answers from that and what a histogram chart is. Okay, we are now going to go to the practice problem, and I know these are pretty involved. They take a bit of time, but go ahead and pause the video and I encourage you to work through the practice problem, and then you can play through it and check your work with my work and also check your answer just to make sure that you've got it before you head into your practice problems if you would like. Okay, looking at the practice problem, it says Cindy carefully counted the protozoa in 20 slides. So we got 20 numbers here. The numbers she counted in the 20 slides were as follows, and I've written them out here on my paper. Okay, so it says make a stem and leaf plot. So let's go ahead and head into that. I'm going to draw my line here, and I'm going to look at, ignore the ones place and look at the numbers after and see if I find what my highest and lowest is. Well, I got 13, 12, 14, 15, 11's my lowest so far. Looking through here, it looks like 11 is my lowest and 15 is my highest. So I'm going to go 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, there we go. All right, then I'm just going to walk down my numbers and fill in the ones place. So I got 13 and a 2. I got 12 and an 8. 13 and a 6. 13 and a 0. 14 and a 2. 15 and a 1. 11 and a 1. 12 and a 3. 13 and a 5. 14 and a 5. 12 and a 7. 12 and a 9. 14 and an 8. 14 and a 9. 15 and a 0. 11 and an 8. 13 and a, is that a 9? I better check on that. Yep. 13 and a 9. 14 and a 2. 15 and a 0. 14 and a 9. Okay, so as you can see, if I were to take these 20 numbers and just try to start putting them in numerical order, that's a lot to wrap your head around. So this is baby steps to be able to get us there. All right, so now I'm going to use this, and I can just straight from this write my numbers out, but I'm going to take the other step and actually write them in order. So this one, 1 and 8, already in order. This one is going to be 3, 7, 8, 9. This one here looks like it's going to be 0, 2, 5, 6, and then 9. This one here is going to be 2, 2, 5, 8, 9, 9. And then this one here is 0, 0, 1. Okay, so now that I have that, let me write them out in numerical order. We have 111, 118, 123, 127, 128, 129, 130, 132, 135, 136, 139, 142, 142, 145, 148, 149, 149, 150, 150, 151. Okay, so it takes a little bit of time, but that is a methodical way to be able to put these into numerical order. So let's go through and answer some questions now that I'm set up. What is my range? Well, my highest is 150, my lowest is 111. We subtract that out and we get 40 for range. What is my median? Well, I'm told in the problem that I have 20 numbers, so I'm going to count in and find number 10 and 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so my numbers are 36 and 39. They both share the middle spot, number 10 and 11. So to get our median, we actually are going to add those together and divide by 2 to get the average of those. So when you add those together and divide by 2, I get 137.5 for a median. The most, what shows up the most times? Well, as I look through here, it looks like, well, if I go back to my stem and leaf, might be a little easier. I've got 2 show up there, 9 show up, and 1 show up. So I actually have 142 that shows up 2 times. That's tied with 149 2 times, and 150 shows up 2 times. So I have 3 of them tied for the most. And then the mean, once again, you just got to grab your calculator, add up all 20 numbers, and then divide by 20. So looking at my answer key here, if you add those up, you should get 2,734. So divided by 20, and our average for all of these is 136.7. Okay, our letter F in our practice here says use a stem leaf to create a frequency distribution plot or a table, our histogram. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's plan it out here a little bit. Looks like I've got, if I go by tens across the bottom here, it looks like I'll start at 11. 11 being 110, 120, going by tens, 130, 140, 150, and 160 to be able to get that last category in there. And then if I look in here, the most that shows up is 5 times, I believe. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll go up to 5 for my histogram there. Okay, let's fill it in here. For the first category here, it looks like I have 2 inputs. For the 120s, I have 4 inputs. For the 130s, I have 5 inputs. For the 140s, I have 1, 2, I have 6 inputs in there. I gotta go even higher. There we go. 6 on my graph. And then for my 150s, I have 3. So there is my histogram or my frequency distribution chart. And now let's answer the last question here. Actually, 2 more questions. G says, using the frequency distribution chart, determine how many slides contain between 120 and 149 protozoa. So 120 here is what, 4, this one is 5, this one's 6. So between these two, I would add those numbers up and get an answer of 15. So most of them are right here in the middle. All right, last question. What is the percentage of slides that contain strictly fewer than 130 protozoa? So 130 is right here. So fewer than that would be my 4 and my 2. So that means 6. And then I want to divide that because I'm getting a percentage by the total amount of slides. This is 20. So 6 divided by 20 is 30%. Okay, a little bit longer of a time needed to do these problems, but I hope that helps and that you do well as you do your homework. Please feel free to call me if you have any questions or need any help. Have a great day.